Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Thank you for joining us tonight. Later on the show, we'll be joined by Von Scales, who is a wellness expert. He's going to talk to us about stem cells, stuff we don't talk about that much in the Black community. So you'll join that conversation later on. But we're about to go into hot topics. So first, how are people doing? Y'all good?
Yes, sir. Happy Monday.
Well, you can always connect with us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, our official website, thestephennightshow.com. Also go to our YouTube channel and check, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think about our topics. Our question of the day is, who do you ask for advice when you have to make a difficult decision? Lynia.
There are a couple people that I have conversations with to make that happen. One is that one over there down in the corner on that side. And then, of course, my boyfriend and my dad.
Yeah.
And now that my son is more open to having conversations because he's been enlightened.
Right.
My son. There's a couple people.
Right. Well, that's good. That's good. What about you, Chike?
Of course, Lynia. I have a couple of older aunts that I can go to if I need to. And honestly, you'd be surprised which information you get by randomly just talking to somebody older.
That's true. That's true. Nayyir?
Yeah, my sister. My sister is one of my people for sure. And it depends on what the thing is. My sister, my dad, and then a couple of friends that I have. So I keep it real small, real close.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Good question though.
I agree. I think it depends on what it is that I need the advice on, who I go to, but yeah. Well, tweet us at home, let us know who you go to when you have to make a big decision. All right, so hot topic. So new court documents are revealing, we already talked about the whole shooting on the Alec Baldwin movie, Rust. Apparently he had a gun and it was told it was a cold gun, which means it was, there was no ammunition in there. And he was rehearsing a scene where he had to point the gun at the camera and shoot, and he shot, and unfortunately he killed Helena Hutchins, and he also shot one of the directors. His name was Joel Huza, but he actually survived, but he was in hospital. But new court documents revealed that an assistant director on the set of Rust unknowingly gave Alec Baldwin a loaded weapon and told him it was safe to use shortly before the accidental shooting happened that killed Helena. And the latest developments around the accident shooting death on October 22nd, new court documents revealed that the assistant director working on the film of Rust handed Alec Baldwin a gun and told him that it was safe to use. However, the director reportedly did not know the gun was indeed not safe at all. Assistant director Dave Hall, reportedly yelled "cold gun" to Alec Baldwin, which means, of course, the weapon is safe to use, according to new findings in the Santa Fe court. Now, tragically, the gun was loaded with live rounds of ammunition and sadly killed the young lady who was a mother and a wife. They said she was really getting into her career. She was 42 years old, I believe, and then, of course, shot the other director. Now, I also was watching the news, and they said that this director had been fired from another movie because a person on the crew was hurt by a gun.
Oh, wow.
And they said that there was other issues on this set where there was an issue with the gun. No one was hurt, but there were some red flags. Some of the crew had walked off the set saying that it was they had long hours, and then their living conditions, they weren't suitable. I'll start with Chike. You and Lynia are actors, but what do you think about this? And do you think this will change? They said the reason why they use the real gun is because of the reaction that it gives the actor when it goes off. But I've heard there are other guns they have now that kind of give that reaction, but because this was maybe a Western, and they don't have the gun for that, the new age kind of gun. What are your thoughts on them using these type of weapons in this situation altogether?
First of all, guns don't shoot by themselves. They just don't. Never in the case of anything has a gun just been sitting there and it just goes off and kills someone.
Yeah.
It takes a person. I'll say this, and Lynia probably will concur. Being on a set, a proper set, there's checks and balances when it comes to safety things. First of all, person with firearm is handling the firearm at all times, except for when the actor has to handle it. So it's under the responsibility of one person. In this situation, I do believe that it was a blank. It wasn't a real bullet. I mean, it was live rounds, meaning that they can be fired, but they weren't really bullets, they were blanks. And people think that blanks don't shoot a projectile, like it's like air. No, there's something that comes out. And depending on the proximity that you are to it, it could hurt you. So that's basically what happened. Somebody didn't go through the checks and balances. All the rules weren't followed.
Yeah. And I was when I heard today on the news was actually two people. There's a person who is in charge of the gun. There's a person who is trained in that. But there's then another person, they have to apparently show them that the gun is empty, in order to, have it on the set. Well, Nayyir, what are your thoughts on this situation?
First and foremost, condolences to Helena's family. Yes. You're not expecting to go to work and not make it home.
Yeah.
Being an actor, I'm going to talk from the actor's perspective. What I've learned on set, it's called movie magic when it comes to when you see what it looks like somebody maybe pointing a gun at somebody's face. Technically, you're not supposed to point directly in front of that person's face. Point blank, period. Camera's kind of different, but when you have a person in front of you, you're not really supposed to point. It's kind of like however the camera's set up, you're kind of like pointing off, but it looks like you're pointing directly at them. That's been my experience on set. And just a clarification, it was the assistant director, it was the AD. His name is Dave Halls. He was the one that said it was a cold gun. So generally what happens is, this started out as supposed to be, a union project in regards to the type of people that they hired on set. There's been a lot of issues, as Stephen had already said. They canceled the hotel rooms. They had to drive 50 miles back and forth every day. Things were just not going right on this set for whatever reason. They brought in non-union people to deal with certain things. And I do not fault Alec Baldwin. He is an actor. He is not he's not the prop master. He's not the AD. So I don't fault him. He only went by what he was told, because as an actor, it's not my job to check that weapon. It's the people who are giving it to me. It's their job to check it, to make sure, one, that it's ready for me to use and that I can use it the way that it's intended for me to use it safely, point blank, period. So I don't know all the specifics, but earlier that day, a good majority of the crew walked off. They walked off set because they were just unhappy with their conditions, and that says a lot. So, a lot more is going to come out from this, and it's just tragic that this woman had to lose her life, because, as Chike says, somebody didn't do their checks and balances, which you should have done. This is reminiscent of Brandon Lee, because the same thing happened to him. And it shouldn't be, but because we're hearing about this, there's so much more that you guys don't know that happens on these sets where as an actor, our lives are put in jeopardy because people want to get the perfect shot, or they just got something has to give. So there's a lot more than just this, because it's being highlighted, but there's so much more that goes on a lot of these sets that are unsafe.
And not to mention, let's not forget that most of these films that are being shot are under time constraints. They want them to hurry up and get them done. It's like a mass production. So they're not checking everything.
And they said this was a lower budget film that they're working on as well. Now, Nayyir, Alec Baldwin, he did tweet out saying how devastated he was. They had pictures of him on set, just curled over, just he couldn't believe this had happened. He actually spent time with her husband and 9-year-old son over the weekend. And I read that the woman who passed away, her dad does not blame Alec Baldwin, for this tragedy. What are your thoughts on this? Because they're saying he could face, because there has been no arrest, but they say he could face some kind of civil charges if investigated. What are your thoughts?
So first and foremost, just like El Boogie said, thoughts and prayers out actively and just mentally, just to the family, to the young woman who lost her life and her family and friends and so forth.
Yeah,
it's a sad thing. So my thoughts on this, it's just a very unfortunate event. So doing your job is one thing, and whatever Alec Baldwin's part was to play in this, it'll be what it is. And I'm not saying that he's to fault either. I'm saying that if that was me in that position, I think now this would make me think twice about that, checking that gun. And if it's something that is supposed to come out and I'm going to be holding it, I need to clarify some things with the director right then and there. How far should she be away? Is she good distance? Whatever the situation is, can I touch fire it over here? He's the star. He has that power to do that. So I'm not saying that it's his fault, but it would make me think twice, and I hope it makes him think twice. He's been in plenty of films and he's held plenty of prop guns. So at this point, even though that there are people in place to check and make sure things are all right, that final check is the check of compassion. Do what you can do as well, just to see if you can, prevent any big thing like this. Two, I think maybe it's 2022 now, basically. We can do away with these types of guns. Like Lynia said, there are many people who have died from blanks, many people who have had serious injuries from blanks. I think the movie is less about that effect in that department and probably more about the safety of the actors on the set. So there's someone who has created something that's better now. Nothing needs to come out of the gun. They can CGI it. They can do whatever they need to do.
That's
maybe,
true.
That's where I'm at with it. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's where I'm at with it.
But as we all said, our thoughts and prayers with her family, and especially her son, her husband, and parents, and everyone. All right. Well, Kyrie Irving, he's a Brooklyn Nets player, and he has been playing because he refused to get the vaccination. Well, he has a lot of fans apparently, because they showed up at his game, the Barclays Center, yesterday, chanting, "Let Kyrie play," despite him not allowed to play or practice. At first, he could play as long as it wasn't at a state where they didn't, have the vaccine mandate. But now the Nets have cut him off from playing altogether, saying that you have to do what's best for the team. Well, Kyrie, like I said, he has a lot of support in his corner. They made their own presence known during the recent Brooklyn Nets home game. A large group of protesters who support Kyrie stormed the Barclays Center to advocate that he should be allowed to play basketball despite his current vaccination status. The crowd could be loudly chanting, "Let Kyrie play," while attempting to get inside the front entrance of the New York City arena. Fortunately, local police and Barclays security were on site, and an incident didn't get out of hand, and no one was arrested or detained for supporting Kyrie. As we know, the general manager, Sean Marks, he said he understands the difficult decision for Kyrie, but it's also one for him, and he has to keep his players safe. So I'll ask you, Nayyir, what do you think about these fans?
Everybody got their fans, right? Fans are, I don't know what it's like to be a fan like that. So I can't really discern, but I guess it's a good thing, maybe. I don't know, but I think it's interesting, and I think it's always great to have support. But I think maybe it's, in this case, let's work on the way we supporting people. Right. It don't got to be this big damaging display of we're gonna have our way or you're gonna hear us or else. There's ways to do this. I think it's better ways now. It should be less about damaging infrastructure or things that could potentially put more laws in place that make it harder for people to support people in these great causes or in their causes in general, good or bad. Yeah.
You good?
Everybody has their right to do what they feel like they need to do for their own health. God bless him. That was his decision. but you cannot feel any type of way with the repercussions of the decisions that you make. We all saw this was coming down the line. That's why I changed my mind and got the vaccination, because I knew they were going to start shedding people out of life. In Nigeria, you can't get your identification unless you get a vaccination.
Chike, I don't want to cut you off. I want you to finish because it's very important. But today I just realized, so I went out to get some lunch and I went to sit down in the restaurant and no one in that restaurant could sit down without their vaccination card. You know, so that just happened today. I forgot that they were talking about that, but it actually happened. And I was like, oh, wow. So yeah, you know.
That's how it is in New York State altogether. That's why, and the thing is, New York State has a vaccination mandate. So it's above the NBA at this point. It's the state mandate.
Right. I didn't mean to cut you off.
So, no. And so that was my decision and why I decided to get it, because I knew somewhere down the line that they were going to start cutting people out of aspects of life. So, and I did not want my life interrupted. And I'm in the healthcare field and they were giving it to me free. And if something happened to me, I'm in the hospital, you know? And I know God. I know God.
Mm-hmm. And the thing with, I don't like vaccines that much myself in terms of the flu vaccine, but my job, I have to get it. I'm getting it tomorrow. You know, we had a deadline to get it by the end of the month, so I'm getting it tomorrow.
And what did you just say? What did you just say? Because of your job, right?
Mm-hmm. My money.
And that man's job is to play basketball, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's his job.
Lynia, what are your thoughts on this?
In my best Game of Thrones voice, we all have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And he made his choice. It's costing him a lot of money, but he made his choice. And as with this whole mandate thing is not new. They have been talking about it to try to get back to some kind of form of quote unquote normalcy. And it was coming. So you knew it was coming. So you can't get upset. You can do whatever you want to do at your house. You can invite unvaccinated people, vaccinated people, but that's your job. That's where you work. And they're telling you, you have to be vaccinated. And if you don't want to be vaccinated, bro, you're not going to get paid. Because it's like, I don't know how much it is exactly, but it's over like 500,000 a game or something like that he missed out on. And I mean, if he had a talk with himself and he's cool and he could sustain, and I don't know how long it's going to last, but I will say this. I didn't get vaccinated because of my job. I got vaccinated because this girl liked to travel. And I want to go outside.
Yeah.
Get up out of here. And I want to go run free and somewhere naked sometimes. So I had to be vaccinated so I can do that and be okay to travel. And people ain't looking at me like I'm crazy. But I will say this, at my job, they did offer the guys, they offered them $50 gift cards if they got vaccinated.
Oh, wow. Well, you know, it's interesting. We posted a video on our Instagram page where whenever they start mandating seatbelts and the uproar, we have to start wearing these things. And so this is how people are. But they said when he gets vaccinated, they'll welcome him with open arms, thumbs up, and he can come back whenever he's ready. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, find out why Lil Boosie is under fire after some nasty remarks he made towards Lil Nas X. And then there's a feel-good story about this woman who posted about overcoming homelessness, and people reached out to show their support. We'll be right back after this.